Hey guys, Megi Flips here with Onyx Designs. I'm about to start on my next piece that I'm going to flip. It's a very small curio. It's a little beat up. I gotta flip it over, tighten the legs. Needs a little TLC in addition to some paint. I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint in Anchor. And I'm going to paint the hardware in gold. I am going to be using two Zibra brushes. I got the 2.5 inch Palm Pro, and I have the little square brush. And I'm going to start by removing the hardware. All right, so what I found here, this loose leg has nothing to do with the leg and the bolt that's in it. It has to do with the two supports. This support was cracked. So it's two pieces here. It was cracked in two, so I actually broke them off to allow me to glue them back together. So I don't know if you could see this if it's in the camera frame, but this supports the legs. So now I'm going to glue it back together, and you'll see once I start gluing it that it keeps the leg tighter as I press down on it. See, the legs already stopped shaking. So now if I hold it down, now the leg is good. I thought I was gonna have to clamp this, but I'm not gonna have to. It's in there pretty good. So now I'm gonna let that dry. Once it's dry, I'm going to clean the bottom, and then I'm going to flip it and clean the rest of the piece before I start scuff sanding it. Before I flip this back over, I just wanted to show you that the leg is fixed. Since I glued this back on, and it also glued to the leg as well, it re-supported it, and it's good to go. The whole piece has been cleaned. Yes, I do clean inside. You saw me do that just a moment ago. I clean the sides, the top, the bottom, everything inside there. I clean everything under here, and I rinsed it twice, so I know that it's nice and clean right now. So now I'm going to take some 220 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to give it a light scuff sanding. I'm not trying to remove the finish off the whole piece because the paint that I'm using has a built-in primer, and it's not necessary to remove all of the finish. The whole point of this paint is so that you don't have to do that. So now I'm going to scuff sand. Now to fill all the scratches and gashes with some Dixie Belle mud. All right, piece is now ready for paint. Give it a good shake. I think I'm going to start with the back. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to start with these doors. You don't need a lot of paint on your brush, just a little on the ends. taped off the glass, as you could see. I did not want to risk getting any paint on the glass. This paint has pretty good coverage. And as this starts to dry a little, you don't want to go back over it at all. You want to let it completely dry before you go back over it. Otherwise, you're going to pull it and then you'll have to fix that later on. So you want to just leave it. Like I just painted that part first. And if I go and paint all these other parts and then like 10 minutes later go, oh look, there's that missed spot right there and I want to go back and fix it, it's not a good idea. Right now is okay because I just painted it. But 10 minutes from now is not a good idea because it's already started to dry and settle a little. So, because yes, this paint actually dries pretty quickly. So I try to make sure everything is to my liking as soon as I do it. Don't wait. Okay, I'm going to speed this up for you guys. When painting, you do want to make sure that you go with the wood grain. So like on the doors, when it was vertical, I went top to bottom. And when it was horizontal, I went left to right. And I continue that pattern as I paint the whole piece. I always go with the direction of the wood grain. For small pieces like this, you always want to make sure to paint the back because some of these pieces don't get put up against a wall. Okay, my first coat is on. I have to let it dry before I do the second coat. Remember, you don't want to mess with this paint until it's totally dry because you will pull it. And you don't want to pull this paint because then you basically have to start over because you're going to have to correct wherever you messed it up by pulling it. So I'm going to give this some time to dry and then I'll do the second coat. Well, the first coat is done, and instead of going right into the second coat, I decided to flip over the piece so that I can make sure that I painted these parts nicely, because when someone lifts this up and goes to load it into a car, you don't want that to be all botchy. So all under here, all under here, all of this, and all of this. You want to make sure all of that looks nice. Just because you don't see it when the furniture is sitting on the floor doesn't mean that it shouldn't look nice. So I'm going to fix that up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. If you like what you've seen so far in this video, please remember to hit the like button down below. Also, please consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Now I'm starting coat number 2. I did not paint these, I cleaned them up because I realized they were brass. And here she is, all completed.